Hi, everybody, and a very, very, very warm welcome. I'm hoping that you can see me and hear me. And I'm just absolutely thrilled to be doing something especially for my Patreon supporters. Thank you so very much. Hi, everybody, and a very, very doing this feedback loop. Okay. So I'm just going to give people a few minutes to join online. We're going to be a very nice, cozy group today. It's really a private meeting here in appreciation to you, my Patreon members. I wanted to give you an opportunity to be able to ask your questions, whether they are astrological questions or questions for the Pleiadians. I just wanted to give you this opportunity here in a more private setting where the chat is very nice and quiet. And I will have time, hopefully, to answer your important questions. So thank you, Lucy, for being here. Lucy is supporting us all in the chat. Welcome, Pari. Welcome, Lisa. I don't see anybody else in the chat yet, but you might want to say hi and just say where you are listening from, where you're joining us from. And of course, this felt like a really important time because we're at the end of yet another very big year. And we're about to start another pretty big year. Hello, Jeffrey, welcome from Grants Pass, Oregon. So this is always a really good time to begin to look at your life. And because this next year, astrologically, has got this strong feeling of a Capricorn Saturn energy running through its theme, I think I would start off by looking at how far you've come, how much progress you've already made, how well you've done. I think it's important. It's always so easy to say, oh, you know, and I could have, and I should have, and I might have. So welcome, Pari from Denmark, Copenhagen. We've got Louise from Berlin and Lisa joining Newcastle in the northeast of England. So, yeah, you might really want to think about the progress you've made, see how far you've come, the obstacles that you've had to face, especially in this last couple of years. We've all had to face something pretty intense. And look how well you've done. Yeah, really, just look how far you've come. I think that's important because Saturn really likes you to keep a certain practical observation going of your life. And of course, we're starting off the new year in a Capricorn fashion. And this is a really good time now to look at how much stronger you are. Lisa's saying that, you know, she's been like a hermit and gone through lots and lots of painful internal shifts. Feel as though I'm doing all the talking, and I don't mind doing that. I'm just thrilled to be with you and grateful that you are joining this live stream here today. So Lucy's asking, is it a good idea to journal? Or is it better to write it and burn it on the fire? That's a very good question. It's certainly a good idea to journal. But let me be clear about how I delineate between journaling and getting something, getting something out of me, getting something out of my system. So if I've got something that's pretty toxic that's going on, or I've been aggravated by something, I might write it out. If it's really bothering me and I'm feeling as though it's take me off balance, I might write it out, read it, and then burn that. That's the kind of thing I burn because I don't want to carry that around with me. But actual journaling, I try to do just a little bit at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. Hello, Janice, welcome. Thank you for joining. What I find is very valuable, and I think this Capricorn energy would be very supportive for this, would be if you contemplate your day, contemplate how you're feeling. And at the end of the day, contemplate backwards and see, you know, how did I do? What might I have improved, or how did I do well? What have I observed? So that you become an observer, you become more conscious of your world. Welcome, Elizabeth. You're traveling and currently in Northwest Arkansas. Welcome. Joe L., welcome from Belgium. So you might want to think about what qualities do you want to develop this year? And what discipline? Saturn is a bugger for discipline. So what kind of new habits do you want to cultivate? What are the things that you really want to develop during this coming year? For me, I'd like to develop much more sweetness of speech, kindness of speech, that once it's coming out of my mouth, that I'm really, really conscious, no matter what the circumstances are. Of course, it's easy for me in a way, because with Greek, I've really got to think before I speak. Because in English, it's more difficult. Janice is asking, can I talk a little of the importance of the winter solstice? Absolutely. So the winter solstice it's like a portal. It's a strong energy. Welcome there, Mandy in Australia. Much love to you. It's like a door opens. Yeah, for one part of the world, it's the longest day. The other part of the world, it's the shortest day. And it's a wonderful time to really think about the sun. We talk about the sun signs. So think about how you can develop your identity. Who am I? This is a wonderful time for saying, who am I? What am I doing here? What is my purpose? And yes, Janice, it's a wonderful, good habit is to take care of you and relax your body. So the solstice, it's a very good time for setting intentions. It's a good time for really thinking about what can I tune into that's wider than my daily life? Yeah, it's a really big energy. Yes, it's a strong energy. So how can I open up to more possibilities? ETs, angels, elves, sprites, spirit guides, channeling. It's a wonderful opportunity to open up to the invisible realms and the power of those invisible realms. And yes, I can see Lisa and Lucy having great conversation here about dreams and dream symbolism. Very, very powerful. And I think that with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction that is going to be very active from the end of this year, this is when Jupiter will go into Pisces, and then we'll begin to approach Neptune all the way until April 12th. It's a wonderful time for working with dreams and understanding your dreams and finding the deeper meaning behind your dreams. Yeah. So for the solstice, it's a really good time for making big changes in your life. Really is. Yeah. Because the earth is making a big shift and you get to make a big shift. But I would do a lot of sun worshipping. If you've got the sun and you're in Australia and New Zealand, fabulous. But if you haven't got the sun, as mind you, we had quite a lot of sun today, but just imagine the soothing, healing, enlivening energy of the sun. So anything that you can do around sun and sunshine and vitamin D will be very powerful. Somebody asked about Comet Leonard. And to be honest, I don't know much about it other than that it has been visible, apparently close to Venus. But I don't know a lot about it. So if anybody does know a little more, then please do comment in the chat if you would like to. It's a very good time for thinking about the coming year. 2022, all the twos. What is your focus for this year? Do you have a focus for this year? My focus for this year, because I've been thinking about this quite deeply, is really to become more conscious. I can't think of anything else that would be more valuable for me to do than to become as conscious and as aware as I possibly can. And the Pleiadians have been saying it to me for years now, like a broken record. We want you to be more aware, 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 aware. We want you to be aware, aware. Yes, we do. Yes, and this goes on all the time. I feel like, haven't you got anything else to tell me? They don't seem to have that much else, other than when people ask them direct questions, then they will answer, usually, unless they're being mischievous. But you may have goals in different areas, things that you want to accomplish. Maybe financially, maybe with work, maybe with a relationship. Maybe you want to learn something. Maybe you want to write that book. What are the things that you're thinking about now that you would like to do or accomplish or be? Because we're in extremely powerful times, as I'm sure you know. So Lucy wants to get moving more and keep moving. Have creative fun. That's Lisa's too. Great. And connect to your spirit guides and your soul mission. Yay. Beautiful. Oh, Janice is going to buy your first home. That's exciting. Beautiful. The Capricorn energy is something about being very practical. So my practical conscious awareness is that I meditate in the morning and in the evening, and I really write down and try to become more conscious of the things that I'm doing and how I'm doing them and what changes need to happen. So always practicalities. This needs to be a very practical year. as well as the dreaming. So we've got the Jupiter-Neptune energy, and we've got the Uranus in Taurus and the Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn energy. So we've got a lot of earthy stuff going on. So flower essences, oils, healing remedies, all of these things are going to be magnified in their importance and in their value. And I think the vibrational healing methods are going to really become much more widespread, much stronger. So how are you getting grounded? What are the ways that you are becoming more centered, more grounded? Mandy's been building your treehouse for 14 months. Yay, you'll be living there next year. Wow. Wonderful. And Elizabeth is finding a new home and a soul family in your year-long adventure, your daughter and you. How wonderful, Elizabeth. Wow. Janice, crystals, aromatherapy, beautiful. Yes, Lisa, the 12th of April will be this conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. So let me give you sort of potentials on both sides of the fence, so to speak. Because with Pisces, we've got two fish, and the fish are swimming in opposite directions. They're not swimming together. So Jeffrey's going to eat lighter. Very good. Excellent. So Pisces has to do with water, and Jupiter tends to magnify whatever it brings. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more flooding and more excesses of water. It's already happening, but I think that's probably going to be a feature of these few months. I think that energies of mass psychosis, mass hypnosis, the masses going along with something and not necessarily looking at it and seeing it clearly and truthfully. I think that's possibly going to be magnified during this time. And it'll be important not to get caught up in the general psychosis and fear or whatever else you're caught. If you feel yourself being drawn into something, this would be a time to be careful of. What am I being drawn into? What am I being influenced by? And on the other side of the fence, we're looking at huge spiritual awakening, huge, massive global kindness projects, global love, global joy, peace projects. I mean, wow, the whole spiritual aspect is unlimited. So it opens up a huge door for time travel, teleporting, psychic abilities, intuition, the whole field of esoterica and metaphysics can open up in brand new ways. Joelle has asked, is this a good time to start a business? Somebody told you that Venus retrograde was not a good time to start anything. Okay. Well, the general answer to that is that if you've been thinking of starting that business before Venus went retrograde, and I do believe Venus went retrograde somewhere around, I think the 19th of a day or two ago. If you started it before the retrograde, then it's fine to, if you started researching and doing something on that business before the retrograde, it's fine to launch it during the retrograde. The thing about Venus retrograde, it's not good to buy big ticket items, and it's not brilliant to get into a new relationship. Venus in Capricorn retrograde would mean as long as you've really thought about the business, as long as you've planned it well and you feel ready, then the Venus retrograde won't get in your way. But if you're not terribly well prepared and you're not confident and you've not got a good structure, then it will be best to wait until the end of January. Hope that answers that. Hey, Stoyan, welcome, welcome. So happy you are here. Welcome. So I do think, yes, Lucy, that telepathy and psychic abilities are opening up more and more. I don't know that people trust it enough. But the more that you can trust that, and especially if you trust your first instincts about something, first feeling, and because after that, you're going to get into brain noise and analysis. And that's a very different energetic than that instant knowing. And you know, even when you meet somebody, there's an instant feeling right at the very, very, very beginning. And you just know. So I think that's very, very important. So I'm coming back to this question that I would like to ask you all again, is what are you doing to keep yourself centered and grounded? Because this is going to be very important, because there's going to be this whirlwind of energies swifting and swirling, you know, governments changing their minds. First the mask is good, then the mask isn't, then social distance, then you don't need it, then it's so you can't get it outside, and then you can't get it inside. You know, all this changing mind, it's very disconcerting. So what would you what can you do to keep yourself centered? I mean, what I do is I don't watch any mainstream media. I really don't. I read the headlines and I read certain articles, but I don't watch the videos, because the videos is the energy that can suck you into something, and just have to be very aware that you're not influenced negatively by something. I do think we're going to see a lot of inflation. Already inflation's up, I think, 9% in the US. And I think it's going to be a lot more. Physical exercise is good. Being outside, being in nature, hugging trees, being with the animals. These are all things that I do that I found very grounding and soothing. Had somebody tell me that there's been flooding in Spain and it's not stopped raining since the end of November. And the river now is at 4 times the height that it usually is. And people haven't had electricity, they've not had hot water, it's been difficult. But what's come from that, interestingly, is that my client lives in a big building and they've started up a whole community link. And people are connecting and getting closer to one another and helping one another and creating little communities. So that's something nice that's come from that. So it's just so lovely to be with you all. Yeah, it's just really lovely to be in your presence. I'm extremely grateful for your support. Really means a lot. And I'll just see if there's another couple of questions. Elizabeth, you've got a collection of guided meditations to keep you centered and on the path you want to stay on. That's fabulous. Beautiful. Gina. Hi, Gina from New Orleans, Louisiana. You pray a lot. That's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. We all need tools and techniques and things that you can just turn to so that you're not thrown out of balance with the turbulence that's likely to be continuing. Do I have meditation techniques I use? I find very valuable the techniques from Yogananda, the Self-Realization Fellowship. I find those techniques very powerful, especially the affirmations. And there's a lot of free information online if you don't already know about it. I highly recommend Autobiography of a Yogi if you haven't already read it. Beautiful, Mandy. Your painting is your journaling. That's lovely. Welcome, Gina. Yeah, it's just lovely to be in one another's presence. I think if I do another of these, I'm going to do it differently. I'll do it on Zoom so that we can see each other next time, because I think this is just me sort of talking again. Jeffrey, explain Venice I appreciate. I'm not sure whether that's a question. Is that a question, Jeffrey? What would I recommend for people to do daily to enhance their astrological skills or psychic abilities? Goodness gracious. Well, it depends how much knowledge you've got already astrologically. You're obviously going to know your sun sign. Some of you are going to be quite advanced, but your sun sign is, of course, important, but it would be very good to know the characteristics of your moon sign and your rising sign. So that's what I do if you're a real beginner. And if you're not a real beginner and you know your chart, then I would be looking at the transiting moon, because the moon changes sign every 2.5 days. So, you know, it sort of zips around your whole chart in 1 month. So this is really good to follow that moon and to see when it hits certain planets, whether you notice things that happen in your life. I will be doing a webinar on the moon. I'm sort of still meditating on it, but I am planning to do that quite soon. Well, I just want to thank you all once again for joining me here today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll just wait one more moment to see if there are any final questions. Stoyan, you've been learning how to use new creative software, such as Illustrator and After Effects. It's giving you joy and fulfillment. And you've been creating Christmas greetings for friends with the software. How lovely. Fantastic. Isn't it great when we share things with one another? Things that are uplifting, that are creative. It's wonderful. We've got so much we can give to one another and share with one another. And I think we're just at the beginning of exploring this. So much that we can do online together. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Glad you like the pink. You need a bit of colour in the winter, don't you? Hello, Erica. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Yeah, it's a beautiful community, really is. I feel very privileged and honored to be with you. It's a joy. It's a joy when I think of you. Yeah, it's like, oh. It's a boost. Hello, Erica. You're never too late for the party. You're always welcome. Thank you, Stoyan. I'm grateful for you too. Mandy, what is the meaning if you have nothing in your 4th, 7th, 10th, or 11th houses? That's a great question. Okay, so astrology questions, they look as though they're so easy, but they're actually quite complex, you know. All right, so it depends. My mind goes into many directions because astrology is like a spider's web. Yeah, one thing is connected to another to another. It's a bit like, you know, your leg bone's connected to your thigh bone, and yeah, it's like everything's connected. But Carol, welcome. So happy you're here to join us. So how to explain this? Each house has a ruler. So if any of those houses has an important ruler that may rule your sun or your moon or your ascendant, then those houses, even though they've got no planets in, natally, will still have an important energetic influence in your chart. And all those houses will be activated by transits at one time or another in your life. So don't be concerned that your life will not include home, family, relationships, career, social life, friends. Yeah, people look at that and go, oh, I've got nothing there. Just relax, it's okay. That's the short answer. So Elizabeth, you're getting into astrocartography in finding your new home. Well, this is a personal experience, okay? I can't say because I haven't studied astrology, astrocartography in a lot of detail. Of course, I understand it and I can do it, and I do offer it to clients sometimes for those that want it. But I don't, how can I say? I wouldn't make a decision about where I lived based upon the astrocartography. That would not be my most important decider. It would be down my list, and I'll tell you why. I've had other astrologer colleagues, different ones, different people, specifically move to places to be on a Venus line, to be on a Jupiter line, you know, which would be supposedly good places to find love or good fortune. And it hasn't turned out that way at all. So what I feel is that you take yourself with you wherever you go. And if you're vibrating at a pretty high frequency, I think you can offset a lot of what might not be so good for you, so-called astrologically. So I just would not use it as my main decider. You can use it as an adjunct, Elizabeth. That's what I would say. Right, Louise is asking a hot question. And I can understand how you must be feeling. I can imagine how you must be feeling about that. The polarity is getting stronger. And I think it's even more important, as I was saying earlier, to find ways to stay centered and grounded in your own integrity, your own reality, what is true for you and what really matters for you, and to know where your line is and what you will compromise and what you will not compromise, and to really know what that is. And I have the greatest of respect for whatever people are choosing. Yeah, I don't have a judgment on either choice. I love my friends and family who are doing it, and friends and family who are not. I won't make that a reason to separate or to cut off from people, from my perspective. As for the government controls that are probably going to get stronger over these next months, but they're going to keep chopping and changing. So just know, I wouldn't get too freaked out, because you'll find that there'll be chops and changes as well. And just think about, you'll manage, you'll find a way to manage. You're strong, you've come through so much. This is just another hurdle. Fine, another hurdle, I'll jump over it. I'll find a way, I'll find something else to do. You're not alone. Study, learn, get informed, and make your own decision. These are spiritual times as well as 3D practical times, and there's always a soul lesson involved. Deep soul lessons, often when something is extremely painful. I had, for example, a soul lesson this lifetime to learn to be independent. To really learn that I could stand on my own 2 feet when I had 2 doting parents who didn't want that. They wanted me to stay home. They didn't want me to go to university out of Manchester. You've got a home here, you've got a bed here, you know. Thank you, Stoyan, for sharing that. That's great. That you have a powerful mind. Wonderful. And yes, the mind is the most powerful. I'm just seeing where my heating is. It's getting cold here. I love that. Your lovely dad used to say, Lisa, it hasn't happened yet. The future can always change. And that's what I say with astrology. These are the potentials that we're looking at, and they can change. If you look back and how many people said they thought Trump was going to get in, how many said that Obama, you know, different things, you know, people predict all kinds of things, many of which doesn't happen because the future is always changing. So I think it's important to have a plan B and a plan C, and to really think about, well, what are my alternatives and what are my options, and really exercise your thinking muscles and turn it into a project, turn it into something that can be beneficial. So there are soul lessons for us here, deep soul lessons for different ones of us, right? Some of us, it might be that we've got to find courage, real deep courage. You know, you kind of want to just melt into the background. You don't want to stand up. You don't want to risk punishment. But what price? I have friends with children, for example, who are not okay with the situation with the children. Where is your line in the sand? And will you have the courage to stand up for it? And what's okay with you, yeah? It's very much, because of all this Saturn Capricorn energy, is very much about, I'm responsible for my reaction to everything that's happening around me. I'm responsible for that bit. I'm not responsible for everything that's happening. I can't be, because it's, you know, that's out of my control. But I am responsible as to how I respond and how I am with the people around me, and how I keep myself in some kind of equilibrium. Thank you, Janice. So my lovely, lovely soul family, thank you so, so much for being here today. I'm really grateful to you. And I hope you'll join me on, we'll do some other experiments and other things together. And I thank you for your support, and I'm sending you much, much love. Thank you. I am going to share this wider now. Yeah, we've had our private time together, but I am planning to now share this more widely. I hope that's all right with you. I'm just telling you now. I just wanted us to be able to have some time together in appreciation at the end of this year. I'm sending you very, very much love. Thank you, Lucy, for your help.